Yeah, that's what happens when people forget to mute. When I say mute, we're going to be going live, but they choose not to. So you get all the typing noise and the background noises. And people might I tell you, every video so far, somebody has said, "Hey Steve, change your mute settings when you're going live because we can hear you breathing in the background." Now we can hear Sarah typing in the background. I get like 5,000 comments on that. It's okay, no big deal. Whatever. Hi. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Who says that? That's a Landon's thing. Good zone. There you go. I like that. Yeah, that way you can cover all bases. Anyways, welcome. We are going to have like a little discussion today on a little controversial discussion. Not that we're shy about talking about things that get us into trouble. This is probably one of them. But I'm not going to shy away from controversy, and I'm not going to shy away from talking about things that other people may not want to talk about. But this particular topic, I have two people with us that have wanted to talk about this topic. Cheshire and Sarah, welcome. And you guys might be wondering what the topic is because they're going balls deep. And what they're going balls deep on is the topic of waxing of testicles. Yes, this has been huge news for some reason. The waxing of testicles. Now, I've tried to catch up on this, and to me, it's really a straightforward issue now. I know Cheshire thinks it's a little more complicated. I don't think it's that complicated. I have my own opinions on it, which I'll express during the broadcast. I'm looking forward to people going, "Oh, look at Steve. He's transphobic." No, not. I'm going to be taking a very dispassionate approach, a very non-emotional type approach. That's the type of personality I am, so it has nothing to do with being any kind of bigoted or anything like that. It's just I want to look at this objectively, and I think that the people with me are probably going to agree with the objectivity that we have on the panel today. I have to say a disclaimer real quick because I guess Jessica, hope I pronounce this right, Yaniv, is pretty litigious, and I guess she likes to go around suing people. So everything that's happening on this channel from here in perpetuity on this particular episode is allegedly and may not express that view of the host or the guest on the panel. So yeah, we are not going to be saying anything that may be true or may not be true. I don't know. It's just all allegedly. These things are about her and the story behind what's going on in the news with her and why this is actually a big deal about waxing testicles. You also might want to point out or notice, I should actually point out, one of these days I'll learn how to speak properly. I like massive amount of coffee today. I have a counter over here. Wait, let me see over here. It's been 42 days. Still haven't been paid. So I'm going to keep that on my broadcast so people can know in perpetuity that I still haven't gotten any money. And everybody who says that I will get paid from 42 days ago, I hope that they're eating some crow, and I want them to recognize that their integrity is going to shit every day that they support me, not supporting, or just supporting somebody else, not supporting me getting not paid. How about that? That's a mouthful. Anyways, I'm going to turn over to you guys real quick. We'll go through these, the little blogs that I found on this. So maybe one of you guys can give at least a little intro on it, and then we can kind of discuss the topic and then throw our 2 cents in. You mean Ricky Jarvis? Who was it? Jarvis, yeah. Gervais. Ricky Gervais. I thought it was Jarvis. Just Ricky. Just call him Ricky. Yeah, he made a joke about it. Now he's getting lambasted on it as well. And I can actually, they they can't hear. Well, let me see what I can do here. They don't have an opinion. We don't want them to speak. Why are you not coming over the desktop audio? Say something, Chess. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. You're coming over my audio. I don't know why they can't hear you. All right, well, let me try this. You might hope they don't get an echo. I'm going to turn your NDI source on. Normally I have to turn off because if not, there's an echo. I'm not hearing any, but Cheshire now says something and see if they can hear it.
Something, something, balls deep, something,
All right,
something,
I think we might be able to
darkly.
hear that. Give it a few seconds to catch up here. By the way,
Can only hear Steve.
I guess I should be reading
Patriarchy!
I should be reading the live chat. There we go. All right. Too loud? Oh, I can.
Oh, too loud. Shut up.
To be fair, I was yelling.
Yeah, there's no
Say
such thing as
that.
too loud because you can turn down your audio on your end.
Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, I hear both. Okay, good. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
loud. All right, so let me turn that down a little bit. I can crank it down, people. How about now? Is that better? As you can tell, I'm using Slob's streaming, so I haven't really.
I am loud.
Well, that's
Am I still loud?
That's a Sarah. She's Australian. They're all loud down there.
They sound like robots. Oh, what?
That was the distortion. That wasn't like it's because you were so loud. There was some distortion coming through.
Okay. Okay, not bad. Perfect. Got it. Okay, we're good.
I kept it down about 5 dB, so.
Okay.
Metallic
Good.
Still? Yeah, see, how can one person sound great and the other one's like it's metallic? I don't know.
Still roboty. Doubled.
Oh, okay.
That's what they're saying.
Okay, how about now? Is it better?
I like how we started early and everything was working fine.
Right?
And then we go live and nothing works.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Let me try this. Sarah, hang on. Cheshire, I just have your NDI on.
Yeah, alrighty.
All right, so how's her?
And then there was only me. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Tomo arigato, Mr.
So
Robot.
she sounds fine. Okay, so it's not you or I. It's somehow on Sarah's end. Sarah, say something real quick and see if they can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
All right, now can you hear Sarah? Because I only have one NDI going right now. That's Cheshire's, but if you can hear it through Sarah's. Yeah, but I don't know if they can hear you. Oh, they can hear you. Okay, well, weird. So I guess you only have to have, on Slobs, you only have to have one NDI source because you can just pick one. All right, good. Okay, it only took 5 minutes. Not bad for audio. You know, if I had a producer for this that, was in the live chat that was available to do this, that knows how to do slobs, I wouldn't have to go through this problem.
Convenient that we started early.
Dave. And Dave. There's 2 Daves actually can do it. Anyway, so let's get started on this. So, anyways, this is the story of Jessica Yaniv, and people have been seeing her around Twitter. And I guess the story goes along the nutshell, and then I'll turn over to Sarah, that she called to have a little, like, mom and pop place. Actually, I guess the woman was working out of her home doing things for friends and family, one of which would be waxing. She scheduled an appointment with her. She goes to the appointment, find out that she's trans, and the owner of the establishment or the business, home business, said that she just wasn't licensed to handle waxing of male's genitalia. And obviously, I think most people would agree there probably are some fundamental differences between types of waxing. You have different types of skin, you have different types of concerns. So just because you're able to do one, I don't know. I think that necessarily would apply that you're able to do another. But anyways, long story short, she decided to make a big issue about this, and she basically caused this home business to go out of business because it was just a complete litigious shutdown. She had like 16 complaints with human rights violations, and this was up in British Columbia, saying that her rights were violated because as a transgender person, she thinks that all businesses should cater equally to any type of gender. Obviously, I think there's some huge issues to be had here, but I don't think it's that complicated. But Sarah, what did when you were reading about this, what went through your mind? Because we're getting to some of the stuff about Jessica personal stuff that we will bring up, but just her being litigious about this, I personally think is a really bad message to the trans community. But
Well, I didn't hear you very well because my internet is going kaput.
Australian,
So
I'm
I
telling
don't know
you.
what is going on.
Yeah, you're kind of frozen, but we can hear you.
I'm trying to reconnect to my 4G here, but
All right, while you're doing that, Cheshire, how about you?
I think it's a little bit well, first off, you do need to go to school to do
uh,
these kinds of things. You don't just decide to open a home business to do waxing and things like that. You need schooling. Um, so it is very possible that this was, yeah, like more like a side business. And if somebody isn't qualified to do something, no, of course, and if they're not comfortable doing that thing, of course, they shouldn't have to do it. Especially when you're talking about something like a home business run out of somebody's house that doesn't have any other employees that would be able to cater to that in that case. So, like, if somebody says, "Oh, I cut hair for my friends and family," which is what the article says, is that's what they were doing, working for friends and family, then and you have somebody come in and say, "Hey, I'm going to a red carpet event and I need this massive like beehive, really complicated haircut," you might turn that person down because you don't feel qualified to do that work. So essentially it turns into a question of, can you do that based on whether or not you feel like you're qualified? Should I have to go try and paint the 16th chapel if I don't feel qualified to take on that kind of work?
Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, if this is a home business like that, I mean, you can't discriminate for various reasons, but I don't think this is at all a discriminatory case. This is something along the lines of a person who has a skill that they have that they can do waxing of a particular genitalia, but they don't have the skill for other types of genitalia. That's something that is an individual thing. If I didn't have the skill set to do something, especially working on genitalia, I'm not going to put myself in jeopardy because I might harm somebody in that case.
Even if you, yeah, oh yeah, it's very waxing your genitalia can be
By the way, I've
can be
never, I've
dangerous.
never have.
And
I can tell you right now, I straight raise, man. I tell you, I don't mind a razor. By the way, nicking sucks, but I can imagine wax. Not a chance.
and even if you did take the schooling, and even if you have that technical qualification, that doesn't make you comfortable doing it. And you don't want to hurt somebody, especially if you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, well, and there's also the whole thing of somebody's rights against the other person's rights, right? There's a tension to be had. If Jessica's talking about her violations of her rights, what about the rights of the person not to handle male genitalia? For example, maybe she's a Muslim woman, she's married, she doesn't have the skill sets. There's a thousand reasons why an
Yeah.
individual, and so it's a conflict of whose rights supersedes somebody else's
Yeah,
rights.
well, and there's also something to be said for this person was kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? So if she had done it, even though she was uncomfortable, and something went south,
She would have been
now
sued
you've got a way bigger problem on your
from
hands than
somebody.
this.
Yeah,
This
well,
also was a small home business. This was not a chain. This wasn't a big store. This
right.
was one lady out of her house. This
Yeah.
is this is seems arbitrary to me.
Yeah, and obviously she probably would have sued if something would have happened because she had 16 complaints with the Human Rights Tribunal in British Columbia. But Sarah, did you get back? By the way, we got two super chats real quick. Reed, $10. What up, gang? Just cause I love you guys. Think I'm getting my live stream cherry popped this Saturday. Busy now. Watch this tomorrow later. Thank you, Reed. Yeah, I think you might be on Saturday on the GDC. We're going to be doing some stuff. I'm going to pop in as well, I believe. Speed Knob, $2. Do you think it might be a quote Andy Kaufman stunt? No, I don't. Um, Sarah's having huge. She was fine until we went live, and then all of a sudden, the Illuminati and NASA said, "No, we can't have you broadcasting from Australia, Australia, which is really just Britain, but British people pretending to be Australians because the Earth is flat."
Ooh.
She's not. She's not arguing against me, so
She's CGI. She's not real. We all know Australia doesn't exist.
exactly.
It's just a story that that parents tell you about all the boogeymen that live in Australia and all the all the animals that will kill your face.
All right, well let's go through this while we're in for Sarah real quick.
Yep.
So in Canada right now, a group of female workers, at least one who is a migrant, are coming under attack. One has already lost her job. The other fears losing their jobs too. And yet the leftist types who normally yell and tweet their backing for such marginalized workers haven't raised a peep of concern. The Guardian is skidum. The Twitterati hasn't stirred. The BBC looks the other way. Now, I think this is interesting so far in the fact that the left obviously is very progressive, right? And there's also the regressives are the ones that for some reason have this ideological approach that everybody is marginalized. Everybody has persecution. So it's a conflict between persecution and privilege. That's, to me, intersectionality in a nutshell, persecution versus privilege. And they're not standing up for these people that lost their jobs. I mean, these are probably, very low paid workers, the migrant workers. Where's the outcry of people that have lost their jobs over not wanting to do something that they're just not licensed to do? I'll fix your video here in a second, Sarah. Did you get it back? Did it working, Sarah?
No, my good internet is out. I don't know why. I just have my shitty internet. I don't know what's going.
Well, it's better than it was before, so go for it.
Don't jinx it, Steve.
Yeah, you're working.
Yeah, I'm missing. I don't know where you guys are at in the conversation because I wasn't listening to anything.
Michael, real quick, 100 rubles for vodka for Steve and wine for ladies, or vice versa, or both. Yeah, we don't discriminate. Vodka could be, it's gender neutral. Yeah. We're talking about the group of people that have had to shut down. The lady had to actually shut down a business. People have lost their jobs because of one person saying that they're discriminated against, which I think is just absurd. I don't think there's any discrimination whatsoever going on here. I think I would have done the exact same thing, not because I have any issue with handling male scrotums. It said I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to waxing. Right now, I would think there's a case to be had if this was like maybe a hospital. This is an old folks home, something along those lines, where they just said, no, we're not going to do this. Where it's part of the job function of a nurse to do those things. Mm-hmm. Now, if a nurse, for whatever reason, says she's not comfortable to do something, I don't think that we should force a nurse to do something. But you need to put her somewhere else. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, or you're dealing with nurses where there's more than one of them. There's not like a singular nurse working there.
I think there are a few things to consider here. I am very pro anti-discrimination legislation. My first video ever was about this, but there are cases where discrimination is or at least should be lawful, and this is a case where I think that is it should be lawful for the business to say no, because it's relevant to the nature of the service being provided. And it's not only in the case that the beautician doesn't have the expertise. The beautician might be uncomfortable to wax testicles, to wax male genitalia. It could be the case that the beautician doesn't feel comfortable doing it. Another example that I thought was, if we allow abortion, a doctor might feel abortion is wrong and doesn't want to do abortion, and we shouldn't force a doctor to do an abortion, even if the doctor has the expertise to do it. It's just wrong to force someone to do something they are uncomfortable about doing it. So it's different, for example, with the case of cakes for gay marriages, where the baker doesn't want to do the cake because doesn't approve the lifestyle of the people getting married. This is not someone saying to you, I'm not going to wax you because you're transgender. Person is not going to wax you because feels uncomfortable with your body parts. It's relevant to the situation, to the service.
I actually disagree a little bit about the doctor, just because it's a medical field, and specifically because it's a medical situation. If you're working in the medical field, you should be required to do the things that are needed from that medical professional. If it's medically
necessary.
Yes, as long as it's right. Yeah. And that would be the caveat.
That's why there's a problem with the medical thing, where the person says, well, I don't want to do it because I don't believe it's medically necessary. How do you confront them? You would have to get them in a tribunal or something and have them put it for go to a medical panel and say, look, this is something that is medically necessary. Then I would argue that it might be the case that the medical professional has to do it.
Or, there's more than one doctor. So you have access to more than one person that can do this for you.
Yeah.
Like in this case, this person had access to more than one. They went to this one solo person, made them uncomfortable. They decided to pull out and say, you know what, I'm not comfortable doing this for a various of reasons that are listed in the article. And that they're not specified, but they say, oh well, that they were uncomfortable, input from the husband, that they didn't want to do this, so they decided not to. This wasn't a chain. This wasn't I went to the mall, made an appointment, gave them the information, and then my appointment got canceled because I was a transgendered person. That's just not what happened. This almost feels targeted in this case.
Yeah, it's just like a stunt, like almost.
If I get a commission, I do art. If I get a commission and somebody says, I want a commission for some art, what are your prices? And I say, okay, here's my prices, da 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 da. And then they tell me they want child porn, and I decide, you know what, I'm not going to give you child porn.
Put your mic below your mouth because you're popping or crazy.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
You have a lot of explosive pops. Yeah, well, same thing as an artist. Look, if an artist, and again, I get the whole cake could be a commission thing, even though I kind of disagree with the Supreme Court on it, because I do get for a commission for artwork, I get that, and I think Supreme Court would have been right. I don't know if I necessarily think of cake as an artwork. That's a gray area. But if I was commissioning you to make a portrait, Jesh, and I said, hey, I want in this portrait, full frontal nudity or something, a dragon's having sex with the Toyota or something, right? You should have the right to say, I don't want to do that kind of commission, right? And if I happen to be trans or I have to be gay, you'd be like, somebody'd be like, well, you don't want to do that because Steve's gay. Well, no, it's because she doesn't want to do it because that's not something she's comfortable of doing. Again, your rights should not supersede my rights. And I don't think my rights should supersede your rights. I think that to have equality, both people have to have a certain amount of rights extended to them. And I don't think that Jessica here, I don't think she in any ways was her rights violated. As Cheshire pointed out, there may have been somebody else that could do it, or she just has to realize the fact that there might be people that are just not able to provide this particular service. It wasn't because they were discriminating against her because she was trans. It was because they are not able to do this particular service on this type of media, which would be, in this case, male genitalia,
If this goes through in Jessica's case, I'm probably going to list this under the times that women's rights go below everyone else's.
Yeah, I think this sets back people's rights. I think this is actually one of those cases. Sarah, are you okay? Sarah?
She's teleporting.
I'm trying to get my
That's weird. Sarah's way back in the room, and all of a sudden that was like creepy. That was like something out of like scary movie or something, like The Ring or something. I just see this like magically appeared in front of her camera. Don't do that, man. I have a weak heart. Actually, I have a great heart, but still, I don't want to like kill over and die. That was freaky, man. You should see it. You're like timestamp this. You're like way in the back. You hear a noise, and all of a sudden, poof! You're in front of the camera. Wow. Okay, Kawasa 5000 win. Recommend people look up ECCE mono incident, dangers of non-expert handling technical jobs. Yeah, I don't know that particular case, but yeah, certain things I think you need more of a technical expertise. But anyways, continue where you left off, Sarah. Do you remember?
Medical doctors, cakes, art.
Jessica, she's frozen again.
Oh my god.
I'm telling you, Sarah, you're going to have to move from Australia. We're going to have to get you to a real country.
This is not good.
All right, we'll continue on. So anyways, Jessica Yaniv, and again, I don't think it's appropriate to use person's dead name. I don't know why that was even again, these are things I will kind of point out. Why was her dead name even noted in here? It's not really. Now, some people can argue that she may not even actually be trans because of things we'll get into, but even still, I don't think that you needed to do that. Bullinate $2. Wax it, man. If you want me to do that with you, Bullinate for $2? Maybe. You're a friend, though. I'll do it for free. You don't want me waxing, believe me. You'd be painful. So anyways, their waxes. These are waxes that only tend to women, whose expertise in waxing are the women's intimate areas, and whose preference is to wax women, not men. So when a person who has a penis or testicles, as Yaniv does, comes along and says, wax me, they understandably said no. And again, I get that. I think that this business has a right to determine what they can or cannot do for a medical type procedure like this. I mean, they may not have the skill set. I don't even know how this became an issue. I don't see any discrimination whatsoever going on with this particular case. Let's see here.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of nuance when it comes to if this had been a chain, if this had been a store, if this
Sure.
had been where there are multiple qualified people available and they said, you know what, we're not doing this, fuck you, then it would
That's
be
a
a real
problem.
problem.
Yeah, because they
that
have to
would
have
be
somebody on duty in those chains that could probably
Yeah.
handle something like that.
That would not be okay. But because this is a singular woman working, it for all we know, this person, based on their interactions online, might have just gotten uncomfortable with their behavior and been like, you know what, I don't want you coming over to my house.
Well, you could reserve. I mean, people can refuse service for literally almost any reason. So again, I think that this
Well,
was
in Canada, that's a little bit different.
true. Okay, yeah, going by
Canada
American
does,
laws.
yeah. Canada. The thing is that Canada has a few laws that essentially are to protect minorities, and it tends to have to do mostly with free speech a lot of the time, because what it turns into is essentially where the line is drawn is your right to call me whatever you want ends when I can't walk away from you.
Okay.
As soon as I can't not have to listen to you, now you're harassing me.
Yeah,
Right,
you
so
guys.
you can,
You guys have way different laws up there because down here, basically, people can refuse service for multiple different reasons, and I think that a lot of times that people take that refusal of service and they'll try to attribute it to a specific protected class when it's not. I'm sorry, if you're just being an asshole, they don't have to serve you. It has nothing to do with your gender. It has nothing to do with your color. It has nothing to do with anything. Being an asshole is not a federally protected class. You can quote me on that, okay? Sarah's
you're
having.
not protected to be a dick.
Yeah, Sarah. I keep on having to adjust your camera. It's weird. All right.
It's
Well,
not me going big.
no,
and
it's
small
usually
this time.
it's usually you, but no, it's Sarah this time. I don't know what's going on. Sarah,
So
you
I
back?
think Sarah was right about Ricky Gervais. Like one of the main reasons why this blew up as much as it did was because I don't know how he found out about it, but he found out about it, called it, and then that headline started going around. What was it? Ricky Gervais called transphobe for defending women refusing to wax trans women's penis.
Yeah, yeah, it's very hyperbolic, especially when it comes to these types of headlines, right? They're very hyperbolic headlines.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais accused of being a transphobe for saying women should not be forced to wax male genitals. How is that transphobic? This is the kind of narrative that drives me freaking crazy. That term transphobic for somebody like Ricky here, who's making a comment, same comment I make, I happen to agree with him, that you shouldn't force people to do certain things. How that minimizes that term and makes it something that just watered down, because I have seen transphobic people. I have seen TERFs. I have seen people that are the most vile human beings on the planet say very disgusting things to transgender people. This is not one of those people. Why would you lump them in that same category? I don't understand that.
I mean, if you want hyperbole, you can just go ahead and say, well, if I go to a neurosurgeon and I ask them to do heart surgery and they refused me, why did they refuse me? It's obviously because I'm a woman. No, it's because they're a goddamn neurosurgeon. They're not qualified or they don't feel comfortable doing open heart surgery.
Yeah, not every.
I totally agree with that. That this sort of hyperbolic headlines and outrage does minimize the term transphobic. And when there is an actual transphobe and someone like myself call an actual transphobe out, people don't take you seriously because they say, yeah, everything is transphobic these days. I really hate that. I really hate that people do build this sort of narrative. It hurts us so much, and that's why I'm so vocal about this, because it pisses me off.
You've been called transphobic
because it makes light of it. Like there's actual real shit going on.
I mean, you see now people like Matt Dillahunty got accused of being transphobic, and Rationality Rules got transphobic. These are people that have been supporting of the LGBTQT for the longest time. These are people that are allies to the trans community. Why would they want to alienate them? Now, I'm not saying Ricky Gervais is an ally. I have no idea one way or another. But just by stating a certain comment does not make somebody transphobic. Now, I understand this. I understand that in the trans community, they use words slightly different amongst themselves. And I get that. And maybe they will say that's a transphobic comment because that's the way they're looking at it. I do understand that. But for the rest of us who are not in those communities, I think it has a negative connotation that minimizes that what Sarah was saying, the sting of that label for somebody who actually is. Because I think that every transphobe that I've ever met is very open about it. They don't try to hide it.
It's like calling people Nazis or SJWs. It's just a catch-all term for somebody who doesn't agree with me. It has nothing to do with actually.
I call a lot of people SJWs.
And why are you doing this?
She's fighting with the internet.
she's having a fight with the internet.
She's arguing with it.
Is the internet transphobic? It's trying to shut you down.
Have to bully the internet.
But anyways, Ricky here, basically, he had the SJW trolls come out in force to condemn him as a transphobe, suggesting the idea that a biological man should not be able to use the power of the state to subdue a woman, just touching a private reason. Now, we will get into some things with Jessica that are, again, allegedly, but there's something to be said that she may not be as forthright with her position as trans as she's trying to lead people on. Now, again, I don't like doing the whole, who is what they say they are kind of thing. It's hard to jump into the mind of people, but there's been some comments that at least make it questionable with her.
Even if she's not, even if she is fully, I'm willing to take that at face value and say, yeah, you're totally in earnest, but you're still
creepy.
You're still taking advantage of that. Like, there are women who take advantage of being women. There are women who will go and work in a factory or a warehouse and use the excuse that they're a female to not do the work that they need to do the job. It's annoying as shit because now you've got to run around and do double the amount of work because she's like, oh no, I can't lift this box. I'm a weak woman. Don't do that shit. But there's still, that doesn't mean that, oh well, their identity is in question.
Right. Heartland Heathen, $5. Thank you, by the way, Heartland Heathen.
I would be willing to put that in that kind of a box where it's like, yeah, you identify however you want, and that's fine. I don't think those things are related. I don't think there's enough to make that jump, in my opinion.
Kawasa 5,000 won. Maybe the world should get rid of waxing as a whole. What's wrong with hairy bits? Nothing's wrong with hairy bits. At least on women. I like to be clean, but no, it's again your preference. It's your own, right?
If you take away waxing, then the razors win.
It's sad that one of my mods had to say this, and not in a bad way, in a good way, but it's still it's sad on the commentary of the society nowadays. But Jen says, Sarah and Cheshire and me, she says, I just deleted a comment I want to make because I'm afraid of being attacked as transphobic. The community is way oversensitive right now, and that's a shame that people have to parse out what they're saying because they're afraid of getting attacked. I'm fortunate. I don't give a shit who comes after me because they won't succeed, and they've been trying for years on different things, and they'll throw up trial balloons. They've done it with Chesh. I'm sure they've done it with Sarah. I'm sure it has to do with a lot of people. I don't do my hangouts, and I don't do my channel based upon what some group thinks. I don't give a crap if they care who I platform or don't platform. I will never capitulate to their demands. I run the channel the way I want to run the channel, just like I expect Cheshire to run her channel the way she wants to run her channel. But when you have an atmosphere that's fostering this narrative that if you say anything or you even talk about these subjects, you're all of a sudden labeled to be bigot or transphobe. There's a problem.
Yeah, how is anybody supposed to learn or get better or improve their understanding of the trans community or the gay community or any community if you can't ask questions and make comments? In these sorts of situations, this is when the principle of charity applies. If I accidentally misgender somebody and you crucify me for it, then meanwhile you're focused on this accident that I made and I am trying to improve and do better. Meanwhile, people are getting literally attacked over this. Your priorities are not maybe where they should be, whereas I might be able to help you in the future, or at least I'm trying to do my best, and this person is actively trying to hurt you. Why are you?
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Night Demon, $2. You can wax the tree, but don't touch the tree house. Okay. No, I think those are all really good points.
There are places that you can get your balls waxed. Like this
Yeah.
isn't like that's a lot of places will do that. That's why I was confused as to that. That's weird. Why wouldn't they do that? Oh, because it wasn't a they. It was one woman in her house.
Yeah, and this is again somebody trying to make. They think this is advancing the cause for trans rights. They think this is like standing up for people's rights. Activism. This is not activism. This is the antithesis of activism. This is what everything I hate about what people try to do about activism. This is the essence of thought kind of approach to activism, which I cannot stand. The godless cranium approach to activism that I cannot stand. Because they do nothing to actually help the trans community. What they do is they try to isolate people, and all that does is separate the people that are actually trying to help people.
You don't need to
it's
demonize
bizarre.
somebody. You don't need to go out of your way to demonize somebody most of the time.
They'll demonize themselves.
Somebody who is awful will do that to themselves.
Right.
Exactly. So you don't need to demonize people who aren't doing those things because they're clearly not. Again, they might be wrong, they might be incorrect, but they're not actively trying to hurt you. And when you go to them and say, hey, I want to make you aware of this, they correct themselves. They learn. They do better. But if you go out of your way to demonize somebody who misspeaks or somebody who misunderstands something or somebody who doesn't know something that they should, whether it be because of culture, whether it be because of the research they were doing, whether it be the nuance of that particular topic, they're having the conversation. They're not sitting there trying to tear the goddamn house down.
Yeah, but some people don't want to have those conversations, and if you haven't
well, then
noticed,
don't have the conversation.
But that's the
demonize
problem.
Somebody who wants to have it.
But Chess, that's the problem. They don't know how to have those types of conversations, so in their mind's eye, nobody else should either. And they try to vilify anybody who does. I'm sure there'll be SJWs come over here and say, "Oh, look, Steve's being transphobic, Sarah's being transphobic, Cheshire's being transphobic." It's almost a given. But every one of those people is, again, the antithesis of what I expect people to do to try to help the trans community, the gay community, and that kind of stuff. I mean, I just cannot imagine how anybody gets on board with trying to vilify people for an agenda. This person, Jessica, she tried to vilify people for an agenda. It wasn't for rights. It was for her own, I guess, almost narcissistic approach that her rights supersede everybody else's rights. That's what I find detestable.
And that is the mentality that a lot of people in the community have. And it pisses me off so much. And that's what I am trying to do, is try to do my part to change that mentality a little bit. Your rights are not above everybody else's rights. If there is a conflict, we have to shut up, listen to the other part, what are their concerns, and then try to work something out that everyone is satisfied. What they always try to do is just to bully what they want, try to gaslight people, try to bully people to get what they want, and don't consider what other people care, what other people want. And to me, this shows that they're not interested in rights, in equality. They are just brats.
Oh, I love the way you said that, actually. Bullying. That they'll bully their way to get their way in their opinion. Because you're right. They don't come to the table with the discussion. They don't want to have a dialectic on the topic and say, where are we having issue? Where are we not having a meeting in the minds? They have the least amount of principle of charity among anybody. They always look for the worst possible thing. I've seen them take very innocuous things and twist it to try to fit this completely made-up, fabricated narrative. And they have to know that they're doing that. I honestly believe that they are not not paying attention to what's going on. They're willfully, in my opinion, doing something to cause harm to somebody by trying to change the narrative by not giving people principle charity. And I know you guys have seen it as well.
I think there's something to be said for getting caught in not just an echo chamber, but caught in a toxic environment. So like the same thing happens with the incels. Some of the people who get caught in the incel community aren't trying to be awful people.
Yes, they're trolls.
They're
They're
well,
trolls.
some of them are, yes, some of them, but some of them are legitimately young people who don't know, who are having a hard time, who are socially awkward, who don't know how to talk to people, who aren't educated in any of these things, and they get caught up and they get dragged just down. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse until they become those people, and they get bullied into becoming these people. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people that are taking advantage. There absolutely are. There are people who know exactly what the fuck they're doing, and they're doing it on purpose. And I think there is something to be said for those poor people who get caught up in this and just get sucked down into this pit hole of nastiness.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think many of these little groups, little communities that they have among LGBT and feminist groups, they do that. They are a bunch of people who have a lot of issues, and they create the little group to tap each other on the back. And anyone who has a different idea, who has a different view, is shunned, is kicked out, and they just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into this nonsense, and it's really difficult to get them out.
And these are the people that you think are your friends. These are people who you think are helping you. These are the community, like this is the community that you identify with. So if you go against them, and you're it's like the Mormon Church does this, or if you leave, we're excommunicating you, and you don't get to talk to your family, and you don't get to talk to your friends, and you don't get any of that. This is cult tactics.
Oh yeah. Oh, people have said, "Oh well,
Exactly.
I'm not going to associate with that person because they have this on their platform, or they talk to this person." Again, those are isolationists. Those are people that do form echo chambers. The funniest thing I hear when I hear Steve has an echo chamber on his channel, to me, is one of the most laughable, comically stupid things anybody could ever say. I have the antithesis of an echo chamber because I don't want an echo chamber. I want diversification. I want people with different opinions and things that they can come and articulate their opinions with. That is how you have a successful channel of this type. Now, I'm not saying you can't make a successful channel with an echo chamber. There are many channels out there that are pure echo chambers that have done very well. That's not the direction I want to go. And so I think you're exactly right, because I see people that have isolated themselves to the point they've just recused themselves from any meaningful discussion. And I think that it's kind of a shame, because maybe at one time they might have had something meaningful to lend, to add, to help people. But now they've become a mockery. They've actually become just a farce. And I can't stand that.
A lot of these situations, the people who are running this, the people who are going around actively trying to cause these problems, don't care about the trans community. They don't care about people who want help or need help. They care about themselves, their own ego, and just building up whatever they want and using hate and fear tactics to bolster their own.
One of you guys need to start
agenda
disagreeing with me on something. This is starting to be an echo chamber now.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
The main thing
Steve insulted my hair
that bothers me is that you have then virtue signalers or other people who are not transgender or don't have any direct interest in this, and start embracing this Yaniv person's cause without knowing the facts, and just for the fact that the person portrays herself as transgender. And
she's got a lot of support. She's got a lot of support on Twitter.
I know, and they don't even know what's
Twitter.
going on. It's just because she's transgender. So
Yeah,
I am on her side, no matter what she's doing. And this is what pisses me off too. Like, you have to look at the thing critically, and if you are for equality, you don't judge someone positively or negatively because of their gender or because of their identity. You actually look at the facts and then you take your conclusions. That's what this whole thing should be about. We don't automatically jump on the bandwagon either to hate or to show support to someone without actually knowing the facts. And this, to me, is so condescending.
We just don't see that with transgender. We actually see it with, look at it. If you're atheist, jump on that bandwagon. If you're gay, jump on that bandwagon. If you're a gay atheist, you can do no wrong. There are people that I guarantee it, dozens of them, if not even maybe hundreds of people that will pick a side merely because of a litmus test. of a simple thing is, oh, they're gay, I'm on their side. Oh, they're atheist, I'm on their side. Oh, they're theist, I'm on their side.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot of people, and that's one thing that I try to shy away from. That I think is not critical thinking. That is not how I think people that are calling themselves a skeptic community should go out being skeptical on things. When I've had people tell me, well, I don't have enough information to really make a decision. I'm like, what information do you need on certain things? There's certain things are just cut and dry, and yet people just. They're like, well, but we don't want to cause a schism. They're pro gay, and so we want to It's like, who cares? It doesn't matter if they're pro this, con that. Is if they're in the right or they're in the wrong. Doesn't matter if they're straight. Doesn't matter if they're gay. Doesn't matter if they're tall, if they're short. Stop looking at things through these filtered litmus tests, because I think that's what causes schisms. I think Sarah's exactly right. Look at the quality of the argument, the quality of what's going on with the situation. Don't pick and choose the battle because, oh, this person's a trans, I have to be on their side, because I can guarantee it, you get two trans people together, they're going to disagree on a lot of shit. Put two gays together, they're going to disagree on a lot of shit. Put theists together, they're going to disagree on a lot of shit. People disagree on a lot of stuff. Just because they merely have something in common, I guarantee it's not going to be as much things that they're going to agree on as you would probably think.
Yeah,
I think there's something to be said. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sarah.
I'm a little ranty.
Yeah,
today,
there was
sorry.
when I was on the Non Sequitur show discussing allyship. It seemed to me that some people were shocked that there was so many. There were me and another three trans people discussing this, and people seemed shocked that there was so many disagreements among us. But
it didn't shock me at all. I expected that.
I think that there's an issue when you start talking about schisms and you start deciding not to call out bullshit because you're worried that there's going to be some kind of schism in the community. What community do you think you're protecting? Because if you have a good community and you have people that are sharing ideas, yeah, you're going to have people who disagree. Sarah and I disagreed already today.
On your hair, yeah.
Yeah. Nobody likes my hair today.
I didn't say that. I just said out of the three of us, you would not be first or second place right now. That's all I said.
Fine. No, I see how it is. I came here just to be attacked today.
Brutally attacked by Steve.
But because of the way I look, and I don't appreciate. I'm just kidding. I don't care. But the thing is that you shouldn't. If you're supposed to be pro conversation, if you're supposed to be pro education, if you're supposed to be about learning and having difficult talks and difficult conversations and things that are complicated and things that are nuanced and things that sometimes aren't nuanced and sometimes they seem a little bit more obvious, then schisms shouldn't be an issue within the community anyway, because you shouldn't be ostracizing the person you're disagreeing with.
Yeah, so but I get that all the time. I'm causing schisms. Oh, look what Steve. He said something that is contrary to Atheist Republic or American Atheist or Atheist Community of Austin. Steve must be wrong. Therefore, he's causing a schism. I had people tell. I had a person just the other day on Facebook, kind of paraphrase, basically said, "Well, even if you're right, Steve, it's causing problems in the atheist community." And I had explained to them, I don't give a fuck. I'm not in the atheist community. Why do I care? Are you saying that education is a bad thing and we should stop educating people merely because it might cause a schism among people that are wrong? That's how you get to dogmatic thinking. That's how you get to ideological groups that are just focused on agenda and ideology. I'm not in any of those for that very reason. I think
the thing is that if let's say hypothetically me and Steve disagree on something and it's a huge disagreement and it's like one side, the other side, and it's just it's there's no coming back from whatever this argument is. One of us is going to have to be exactly. One of us has to be fucking wrong. And there's a bunch of people that agree with me and a bunch of people that agree with Steve. What should happen? We have a discussion on it. We turn it into a big event. We argue for 3 hours. Everybody has a good time. And at the end of the day, we all shake hands. And you know what? Sometimes there isn't a right answer. There isn't a schism. I'm not going to be oh, hey, guys, if you disagree with me or you agree with Steve, we can't be friends anymore. I can't associate with you. What the
I got a lot of people that I know that disagree with me on stuff. I mean, half my mods probably disagree on certain things.
With Adam and myself last week, we debated for 3 fucking hours and we couldn't get an agreement. But I get along with him.
Yeah, I get along with him
I
too.
still talk to him. It's so good. We don't have to hate each other because we disagree on something.
Oh, I get shit for
I
being
don't
his friend
understand
though.
this mentality.
Sarah, I get crap people all the time. Oh, you get along with Friended Forever? Yeah. Why? You get along with S.J. Thomason? Yeah. You get along with Saitan Burdicate? Yeah.
Getting along with somebody doesn't mean you don't call them out on their
Right.
bullshit.
Doesn't mean I agree with them.
In fact, if you get along with them, you should be calling them out on their bullshit.
Yeah, those are the ones you want to have conversations with. I don't understand this mentality that people are saying, oh, well, how could you be friends with somebody like S.J. Thomason? Well, I mean, I have conversations with her. She'll listen. We actually will have good discussions, and I think she's picked up a few things. Maybe I can even say that I picked up a few things. But does that mean that I won't call her out when I hear her say some very vile things? Of course I will. But as somebody who's a friend, she might go, yeah, maybe Steve has a point there. Maybe that is something vile. Isn't that what we're trying to do? Isn't that the end goal, to get people to reconsider their positions?
I know, right? I suppose it should be.
Crazy talk, you know?
I know. Like, another guy that I've heard a few times that was transphobic, Colin Wright. He's an evolutionary biologist. He writes for Quillette sometimes. And I follow him on Twitter. And yeah, sometimes he posts some things that are dubious. And instead of just going and retweeting and calling him a transphobe, I ask him for clarification. And you know what? Usually he gives me very sensible responses, clarifying his views. So you can easily jump on the bandwagon and just take what he says on face value and start attacking him and calling him a transphobe, or you can just ask him for clarification and you understand his position. And this is the mentality that some people have these days, that just feel outraged, not really trying to understand and ask someone to explain themselves. Why did you say this? Why did you mean by this? Because sometimes we just don't understand something properly, or there are other things that are not being said. So it's just a mentality that doesn't help anyone and doesn't lead anywhere, because the whole point of being an activist is to try to change people who don't agree with you to agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we have discussions. I mean, now granted, if somebody doesn't change their position, I still think it's worthwhile to have a discussion. One, they might later on, or two, people listen and they might be influenced, right? Because the reasons we have these talks is not to hear ourselves talk. It's because we like to think that we're making an influence on people. We like to think we're changing the minds of people. Now, again, some things may not be worth them changing their mind. Maybe I might be wrong on something. Maybe I get a discussion with Sarah and go, you know what? Yeah, Sarah makes a good point. Maybe I shouldn't be arguing this particular point any longer. Then we change that particular point. We don't argue that particular point. There's nothing wrong with backtracking on your argument and go, you're right. Let me back up a little bit and go a different route. Matter of fact, I think that's how you lead yourself to better arguments. Roll mops real quick, $42.22. Just stop by, pound per day, a penny per hour. After YouTube takes their share, there should be about $42 left. Thank you. Share it with Bull or use it to pay your lawyer. At least we know he exists. He does. We are filing civil litigation within the next couple weeks easily. So big plans on that. By the way, I have just recently, I think I got Streamlabs to work. They do take a little bit less than other services. I don't know how Streamlabs really works that much as far as that. I have it in the video description. So if somebody who has Streamlabs, because I guess you got to pay like $5 a month for something to have that ability. But if the next person wants to donate $1 to Streamlabs just to see if it works, I'm cool with that, and I'll see if it comes up, and then I got to figure out how to do that. But I think if I get Streamlabs to work, it'd be nice, because the thing that comes up, it's just like a super chat. It should be able to be read. Tammy T, 20 Canadian. Hi, Steve. Just popping in to say hi. Say hi to Sarah and my fellow Canadian chess. Well, you just did, but I will.
Hello.
We gotta get Sarah to move to Canada so she has a decent freaking internet connection.
Oh my!
Oh, you can come and stay at my place. We'll have a good time.
Sarah, are you attached to Melbourne? I mean, is there any reason why you couldn't relocate where you can have a decent connection?
I love Melbourne.
Oh no, Melbourne's nice. I've been to Melbourne. Melbourne is a beautiful city, no question about it. But still,
clearly everybody in the chat and us just.
I want an Australian passport. That's the thing. I want an Australian passport.
To go where?
to go anywhere.
To go anywhere.
Like with Brazilian passport, I can't go anywhere.
Okay, well, get your passport. I'm working on trying to get mine. I just got my new ID. I just got my birth certificate thing to notarize, so I get a new birth certificate. I'm getting a new social security card. I'm going on a trip in next month. I don't know if I get to Canada per se, but I'll be traveling, so I'm going to take 2 weeks off, and I'll still stream on the road, but I'm going to go visit a few people. So.
Do we have anything else to say about this?
Yeah, there's one other thing to be brought up about this.
This person's ball sack.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk so much
There's one
about
thing
the
that I really
balls
want to
then.
bring up, and by the way, I don't know what it is about Sarah's camera. It goes nuts. It just goes all over the place.
It's the connection, probably.
Yeah, because
the
what
internet connection.
it's trying to do is resize from your bandwidth. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. But anyways, so again, I don't know why they're using her dead name. I am against that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just say you never. Now again, this is allegedly. I'm not holding that this is to be the case, but supposedly she was in communication with somebody in private messages. Which, by the way, I really can't stand people show private messages. I only show private messages to very close people for very specific reasons, but I don't make them public because I think that people come to me, they expect their messages to be made confidential. This is why for many years I haven't showed specific messages to people in public, but I have occasionally in private if I think it's worthy enough to do so. If the case is that there's a higher good to be had, you have to weigh these types of things in a kind of an ethical framework. But I don't think the public has a right to look at private communications. And I think that you when people start disseminating private communications, who wants to contact that person, right? If Cheshire showed all our private communications, I wouldn't want to send her anything anymore. By the way, you guys don't want to see our private communications. Trust me on that. Well, some of you might want to actually, but whatever. Giggity.
I think there are times to show private communications, particularly when something dangerous is going on. Particularly when something like there's information that needs to be shared.
Maybe.
Now,
again, it has to
something
have a
be said
higher ethical reason to do so.
Yeah, but I'm also of the same argument that there's absolutely no reason why we should know what Monica Lewinsky's name is, because it doesn't matter. Who she was is completely irrelevant to the situation.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with that, but don't you think my argument is sound that if you know this person is prone to releasing private communication, you're not going to be very forthright with them.
Again,
I'm the vault. People come to me with all kinds of shit because I think I've earned that, but I know people that I'm not going to say certain things to because I know they're going to share it.
Yeah, in this case, I don't know because it involves messages of sexual nature. That's
the
minors.
point.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, in this particular case, Sarah, there might be a higher ethical consideration. So
you could make the argument that the public shouldn't know about this yet, but the information should still be shared.
Well, let's talk about what information was shared. So basically, he was asking somebody in a private communication. I don't know if this particular. Yeah, here it is. Basically, he was saying something along the lines that. I don't know what he means by this. I think my period is going to start on Wednesday and I'm traveling. Oh, this is somebody writing to him.
Her.
I'm sorry to her. So, yeah, I'm sorry. This is why they shouldn't use people's dead names. Because I saw Jonathan. Okay, so she's writing this part here. So this is her words, right? Jessica's?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
the white is Jessica. The blue is whoever they're talking to.
Okay, I don't get this part, but... whatever. She says, I think my period is going to start on Wednesday when I'm traveling to Victoria and going on the ferry. My first day is usually very heavy, so I'm going to have to change my pad often. Every single time I take that ferry to the island, there's field trips with 10 to 12-year-old girls on it each and every time. If I'm in the bathroom and a girl asks me for a pad or tampon and potentially help on how to use it, if it's her first period, what do I do? And then she kind of goes on to talk about, like, the genitalia.
Yeah, can we pause? Yeah, can we pause there for a second?
Yeah, there's just so many things that I don't get with this, so maybe you guys help me out.
Who thinks that? Who thinks that?
I don't know. This is bizarre to me.
I'm a little bit unfamiliar with how she would have a period.
I didn't get that either when I read about this. This is why I'm really confused about this.
I wanted to make sure.
She doesn't.
I don't think she gets one of those.
No, she doesn't.
Okay,
it's
thank you for
delusional.
confirming that, because I was just like, I don't understand this. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
think that's how that
I know a little bit about biology. I could
About being in
testify
a
that that's
trans
not how it
home, you don't
works.
get period. That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's you can't change that. That's just life.
Yeah.
But hey, I was born cisgender male. I don't have boobs, so I missed out on that, right?
You could have it though.
Well, I would get implants again.
Stopping
Well, I
you.
guess you know what? That's a good point.
Yeah, you
Huh.
could.
You've given me something. You give me pause. But but then again, if I had boobs, you'd never see me. I would never even leave my house. I'd just have like a mirror all day long and just be staring into that
Just
thing.
sitting there, just.
That's it, all day long. And everything else in life would be meaningless at that point. Yeah. Yeah, this is really okay. Yeah, I know the cringe factor on this is like off the charts. Okay, I get that, people. Trust me. Okay, this is very uncomfortable even for us. But if a 10 or 12-year-old is asking her these types of questions, first of all, she should recuse herself and say maybe you should and get to them a person who probably could be better off to answer those questions. Just avoid any kind of impropriety.
Yeah, an adult should not be asking a child about how their period functions.
Well, I don't know if he was.
Googled it.
No, is she asking the kids or the kids asking her?
Both.
Oh, both. Okay. I'm so
The
confused.
kid
over this.
knows more than her about this.
Probably, yeah. I found out what happens in 5th grade when they take all the girls and they take them out of the class and they have a private communication with them and tell them certain things.
But the whole
Oh,
thing that I thought was so bizarre was about worrying about children coming and ask her about this and how she would react, or children watching her changing
It
her
gets
pants.
worse.
Like,
Yeah, it gets worse.
this is so weird.
So she's like,
Who thinks that?
she says, so at the gym, do girls bear all?
These
I know.
questions are like so odd. Like
That's
just
a
kind
polite
of
way of saying it.
bizarre. Well, I don't. The thing is like it could, giving the principle of charity, it could just be a legitimate question. Like I've had guys ask me like, "Hey, is
Bear is
high-
wait,
like,
no.
these are high school boys." That will be like, not
I
now.
can't give principle of charity
high
on
school
this.
boys when I was in high school would be like, oh, is the bathroom in the girls any different than the guys? It's just like, and I'm just like, go look. Who gives a shit?
I don't think not the way it's worded. It's just the phrasing seems off to me.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and
It's the motivations for me. Like, I understand why a guy would ask that, because, a guy wants to get in the locker room, in the female locker room.
Every high school boy's fantasy, right? I've seen Porky's.
Getting into a locker room.
It's a leading question that implies their intention.
Well, here's the intention.
Exactly.
Well, hang on. Here's the intention right here.
This kind of thing about this situation that makes me really upset, because it helps the narrative of transphobes that someone like myself is only changing my gender so I can get into female spaces to get all the women naked and prey on
But she's
them.
doing it. She's like the archetype of every,
I know.
these people that are trans.
Children in this.
Well, hang on. The people that are arguing against trans rights and things like that, they're going to prop her up as a poster child, as saying this is exactly what we've been trying to warn people of for the longest time. And I think that's sad. Because there might be one or two people that are like that, and that shouldn't affect everybody as a whole. Because like me, I don't give a shit what bathroom you use. I think everything should be co-ed. I don't care. It doesn't affect me personally either way. If I'm taking a pee and somebody else is doing their business, at that point, I'm not thinking about anything sexualized. But I'm used to being in other countries. That's normal over there. And in the military, you learn. It's not about gender. You don't give a shit. It's who can do their job, right? But by the way, now your camera's going to shit too.
Yeah, exactly. There, Michael in the chat made a really good point. What the fuck is this line of questions leading to?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's very, very bizarre. We'll get into it here in a sec. A couple super chats. Cajun Drifter. There's a lot of information not in this article that shouldn't be missed. There is an article on the post-millennial data today which reveals some interesting information. Yeah, like I said, I've read most of the articles on this. Michael M. Get your passport and come to Russia, Steve. 100 rubles. We all have some vodka. Damn. You know what? I wouldn't mind going to Russia. Big fan of the culture, except when they try to involve themselves in our political process.
Russia scares me personally.
Really, I think it's a beautiful country, and the women are
the way
awesome.
they talk, like the way their politics are for women, gay, and trans people.
They're backwards as shit.
There's a whole lot of things about Russia that make me fucking uncomfortable
Well,
as
yeah,
hell. And maybe that's just because I
there's
am
Russian
female
vids.
that I'm just like
Russian
I'm-
vids. Yeah, it's got Russian vids.
Oh yeah, Russian vids is there.
Is he from Russia?
I doubt it. I have no idea.
Does Russia exist on a flat Earth?
Actually, I had a flat earther tell me that nobody's ever actually been to Russia because there's a wall there.
Yeah,
Oh,
and Australia, the same
What?
thing.
Well, there was a wall.
So
It was-
who-
Yeah,
Oh my
but you're in
God.
planes. You can go over it. There are people from Russia in other countries. Putin came to fucking
Well,
America
yeah,
recently.
That's my challenge to fucking flat earthers. If you want to prove that there is a wall on Antarctica, go on a fucking plane and fly over it. But they're
Planes are-
scared that they're going to be shut down because it's protected by the government. Well,
who has the
aren't
money
they
to do
all
that?
against the government?
Yeah,
Aren't they brave people trying to tell us the truth?
you got to get that truth out there.
Planes aren't real. Planes aren't real.
Planes don't fly. Yeah, planes don't.
Planes
really
don't fly. They're not real.
So I don't know who this person. I don't know who Jessica's talking to. This person here, but Jessica asks. So at the gym, do girls barrel? Again, weird question. Most are really discreet, like change in a way that not much shows. We walk around in towels, but that's about it, and sometimes bras and panties. This is the teller. Do you ever see tits and pussy even? Or
Yeah.
ever? This
Yeah,
is not a
that's-
question. This is not a question of saying, well, do people are they showing things that are inappropriately not be shown? Should I have concerns about this? I don't want to be in a situation where it can be misconstrued. It's not like that kind of line of questioning. This is a sexualized line of questioning. No question about it.
It's definitely like feeling out the waters and being like, oh well, where should I go and where shouldn't I go and what do I need to worry about? No, this isn't worry. This is expectation.
Yes. This person is expecting to get into a locker room and see the women's parts out.
Yeah,
Like,
and
I just don't understand that mentality at all.
Yeah, and he's like talking about like looking for the string, for a tampon and stuff like that. It's just the whole narrative, and I don't even want to read. I don't want to read this. You guys can go read the article yourself. But it's just, again, allegedly, these are like actual conversations. I'm the first person to say, look, when it comes to private communication, things can be taken out of context very, very easily, and I think that you should. I'm the first person to tell you that 90% of the time, probably something is going to be missing from the context. This is really difficult to misread.
How old is this person? Do we know
I
this
don't know
person's
her age.
Because this sounds like something like some
Does anybody know?
shitty 16-year-old boy would say to be like, oh, watch, I can pull the string. Watch what happens. That's what,
Yes.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Look, listen, if you want to know about culture for women,
Yeah.
this is not it.
Like-
If you want to know about periods, Google it. If you or go to a Reddit thread and say, "Hey guys, I actually don't understand this thing. Can you explain it to me?"
I mean, like, do girls openly change their tampons when freely changing? That's, I don't know why somebody would be asking this type of question.
That's none of your goddamn
I don't.
business.
It's just bizarre to me. So again, these are
my God.
allegedly, but I think there's more to this story, as people may have noted in the live chat, that she might be doing things for some other reasons other than having some kind of gender dysphoria or something like that, which may, or again, you don't have to have gender dysphoria to be trans, but it is one possible condition to be trans. Again, there are people out there that say, well, if you don't have gender transform, you can't be trans. I don't necessarily agree with that, but
Yeah, well, that is another point, Steve. That the whole definition of transgender is something that is all over the place. That also needs to be discussed. For me, transgender is someone who actually transitions. It's someone who takes hormones, someone who changes their body. It's not just someone who self-identifies however they want. And because this also is the thing about the narrative of transphobia. Yeah, now the way some people are trying to make it like it's you just call yourself something or you paint your nails, you transitioned.
yeah.
Yeah, a man
Wouldn't that be
who hasn't
cross-dressing?
changed anything can simply walk into a female space and just because it's wearing an eyeliner and painted his nails. This is not transgender.
And it's funny you say that,
And
'cause
I take personal offense at that as someone who's been through a lot of shit to actually change my gender. Had to challenge a lot of people within my family to
That's a good
do
point.
I
this,
think
and it
you're
was not
absolutely right.
easy.
So they're watering down the definition.
Yeah, and it's funny, and I'm glad that you say it because I think you're 1,000% correct on it. There are actually like cross-dressers who don't want to be called transgender. They're not transgender. They specifically say, "I'm not transgender. I just cross-dress."
For all intensive purposes,
but they're not transitioning.
I'm a cross-dresser. I wear boy track pants because they're comfortable.
But I think the key is, as Sarah notes, is that trans people are transitioning in some way.
Yeah.
And just
Absolutely.
like you said, Sarah, painting your nails and putting on a dress like I think Jessica's doing doesn't necessarily make someone transgender. Now, again, I'm not going to play the true transgender fallacy, right? I don't know her mind. I don't know if she has gender dysphoria. I don't know if she's transitioning. I don't know what her proclivities are, except what I'm seeing here, which is disconcerting to say the least, allegedly. But when you ask, maybe, is it weird to ask a 10 or 12-year-old girl for a pad or tampon? Why would she ask?
No, it is not. It is absolutely not. Unless there is some kind of emergency situation, which for you, there is not, because this is not something you have to deal with. Leave fucking 12-year-olds alone. They don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, I don't understand this. I just can't grasp this, I guess.
That is not fucking okay. If you're an adult, you should not be asking anyone else who is not an adult for any kind of sanitary product like that. Absolutely not. If you think you're going to have your period, then get your shit together.
So I guess she's like trying to hook up with people. Now, again, I don't know if she was hitting on underage people or not. I have no idea. But it seems to be the case. I never told this to him before, but again, this person is deliberately misgendering. But he was really talking sexualized to me when I was talking to him and asking me if I wanted to be his girlfriend. Now, again, this is somebody who's completely is going out of the way to misgender. There's no question about it. Now, again, I don't know Jessica's mindset, but it's err on the side of caution. And you know, she's a she, but I think there's, again, more to this story than what's meeting the eye. And I think that Jessica might be using this to do things that I don't think are appropriate and have conversations with people that she should not be having conversations with. How about that? Can I say that tactfully?
Smitty made a good point in the chat.
Smitty made a good point? Oh, that's rare. Okay, that's rare.
Yes, he did.
Wow. Okay, we have to know about this because that's a 1 in a million thing. No, I'm just kidding, Smitty.
What I said about transitioning, someone transgender is someone who has transition, has changed their body. Smitty asked, what about someone who can't for medical reasons or because doesn't have money? Yeah, these are exceptions, and of course these are cases that are different. Somebody might have, and I have a friend who couldn't take hormones anymore because she has a medical condition. She can't have it. So of course these are exceptions, but what I am against is the narrative that just because you call yourself something, you are something. And in case of gender is totally a social construct. There is absolutely no biological reference to gender, and to me that is just insane. Gender it comes from biology. It comes from the fact that we are sexually dimorphic. That's why we have gender.
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I agree and I disagree with you on that. I think you're right.
No, it's a combination of both.
Okay.
Totally.
Then we agree. Okay, then good.
In the first place,
you can't exclude biology from gender. There is an overlap, obviously.
I think you can specifically within language
and
social
specific
and
sure.
So within the social sphere.
Yeah.
I think that you can separate those.
But now you're just doing a subset, though.
Well, essentially what I'm getting at is that not only do I think that's possible, but I think that's what we should be looking to do, specifically because if I tell you I'm a girl, what does that tell you about me? Fucking nothing. Fucking nothing. It doesn't tell you what my sexual preference is. It doesn't tell you what I'm good at. It doesn't tell you what my interests are. It doesn't tell you fucking anything. It's useless information.
Yeah, well, I'll agree with you that. But I think a lot of people they hear a narrative and they run with it as if that's the gospel, and then you have somebody. I
honestly hope that this person is not doing what this.
Well, I hope so too, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But But I mean, you have to make certain distinctions. Like I got flack for talking about the difference between comedic and biological sex as opposed to gender, and I know a lot of people other have as well. But again, those are people that are trying to promote an agenda. I'm not interested in that kind of agenda. I just want to get the facts out there. But when it comes to transgender people, that is a conversation that needs to be had, because I think a lot of people in society haven't experienced a lot when it comes to these topics. Like, for example, when I got on YouTube, I didn't know anything about these things. I was completely oblivious. It wasn't until I started hanging out with Nadia, who is transgender, that I learned a lot of stuff. And the reason I learned a lot of stuff is because people were willing to have that conversation.
Right.
Those conversations back in those days with Nadia Vet Chambers probably couldn't happen nowadays, because somebody would be like, oh, we got to shut this down. They'd probably say Nadia's transphobic, of all people. You know, that's the narrative that they run if you don't agree with them. So
if you're transitioning and you want, you should not be asking young people about these types of things. If you want to, you shouldn't be, I'm going to ask my friend if it's appropriate to ask a 12-year-old about this.
It's just it's common sense, right?
Ask your friend. If you're concerned that a 12-year-old is going to ask you, just no. Just be like, oh, sorry, I can't help you. Go find a different adult.
If I was transitioning, by the way, I got the hair for it, and Sarah told me I can get boobs. So hey, I'm having a lot to process coming up here, and then maybe. But if I decided to transition, I still know that whether I'm a male or female, gender speaking or biologically speaking, I know that I'm 49 years of age. I can't change my chronological age. I'm not going to be asking a 12-year-old about anything involving this topic. I'm sorry, just not gonna frickin' happen.
If you want to help a 12-year-old who's going to potentially ask you this question, if you're like, oh, well, a kid might potentially ask me if I'm in a change room with younger people, then educate yourself so you can give them a real answer. If you're a 12-year-old and you go and you're like, oh shit, this is happening and I don't know what to do, and there's another woman there and you're like, hey, can you help me? Then do the research and find out what you need to know to be able to help that person. Here's the answer. Oh, 1 second. Do you have a quarter? Yes, I have a quarter. Put it in. Crank the thing. Here's a tampon. Good luck. Yeah. Done.
Pretty well. Like I said, I think there's other people more qualified than Jessica to give this type of advice. But I think to kind of wrap it up a little bit, that these types of stories are disturbing in multiple different levels, and they do nothing at all to help trans people. They have nothing to help further people's rights. I see a lot of people blindly following Jessica on Twitter, just, saying, standing up for people's rights and all that stuff. I think that they are looking at it backwards. I think that they're doing a 180 on what people should be approaching this as. And it's weird when you see such a difference between approaches. I don't know if one approach is better than the other. I'm not trans, so I don't really get a say in that per se. But I can say from my experience when it comes to people in general, the negative approaches like Jessica's trying to do is more detrimental that I've seen than it is for the people that are actually supporting people that are in the minority.
This person isn't supporting trans people. They're not supporting anybody but they're not
she's supporting
trying
herself,
to support,
I think.
Yeah, she's supporting herself.
It's a narcissistic type of attitude. Like, you need to capitulate to my demands. It isn't standing up for trans rights. I'm sorry, it's just not. And if people want to bitch at me for that, and I'm transphobic like Ricky Gervais, whatever the hell his name is, Gervais.
Oh my God!
I don't follow the guy, man. I know who he is, but I don't follow him.
Well, I agree with you, so they can call me transphobic too. And
they do.
If they don't like it, they can kiss my ass.
They do call you transphobic. They call Cheshire. I mean, we all get called names, and everybody on the internet gets called names. It doesn't matter who you are. Blair White gets called transphobic.
Welcome to Twitter and also the shit show of being on the internet. I fully, every time I go into the chat, into not just live chat, because live chat's fucking amazing, but even just like the below chat, I go in expecting to see just nothing but this person, they're ugly, kill yourself, blah 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 blah, and it's not. It's actually mostly positive, and I love it.
Now, by the way, no, I don't have a problem with Ricky. I agree with it. Jen wants to come in for a minute, I guess. So Jen, you need to give me your Skype, and then we can kind of wrap it up. Why am I checking your messages though?
I identify as a skeleton trapped in a human body. Well, actually, are you sure you're not a brain trapped inside of a skeleton trapped inside of a human body?
Jen says, I want to come in. And, Steve, I want on the show to blow this wide open. DM. I don't see your DM.
Yeah, if you want to contact me, I can get my Twitter DMs are open. If you want to shoot me a message, I'll see if I can get your info.
And we can just add you on Skype real quick.
Yeah. Send me whatever your Skype thing is. Here, I'll link my Twitter.
I don't know. I think I already have her on Skype. I just don't know where to send her. But anyway, so we got any questions from the live chat? We are going in almost 90 minutes, so we'll keep it open for another 13 minutes or so, where we can already get Jen in here.
Oh, not today.
Later.
No,
You're closing now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Look, we're going to be having a lot more discussions coming up here. I'm not shying away from talking about controversial things. I think, matter of fact, that this channel is one of the best channels to have these types of conversations on. And I hope that people will start calling people out that use these types of situations to throw pejoratives and labels out to people like transphobic, bigoted, racist. I think that they
I really hope we're all I hope we're all three of us are just called nothing but Nazis because it's completely unrelated to the. Everybody, comment once this video goes up. Comment down below that we're Nazis.
No,
please.
because I have the word Nazi banned because you can't have it in the comments because YouTube doesn't like Nazis, and I can't blame them. I'm not a fan of Nazis either.
Else.
But
call us all Gibbs. Gibbs is an invented racial slur for goblins in Dungeons and Dragons. GIBS.
Well, how about Higgs because you're homunculus? So.
Oh, there you go. I like that one. I like that one.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. Chester, you got anything you want to promote? Anything on your Slippery Slope show? I got your YouTube channel in the video description.
Everything's down there.
Yeah,
we hit a couple of hiccups with the show, so we've got a meeting coming up tomorrow. So hopefully we'll be able to iron that shit out. Okay. We'll see. I won't have a video next week, so like on my art channel, the video's already up for this week. There won't be one next week because I'm going to be away. So anybody who's looking for me next week, unfortunately, I'm going to be blackout. I'm not going to have any internet for a week. So if I've disappeared, don't panic.
And I'm going to be off the internet for a week too. And her and I are going to be disappearing together. You guys make the connection. I'm not going to Canada.
I can understand the undertones there.
No,
that's a different channel. It's a Pornhub channel.
So Sarah, by the way, you I think you're pushing almost 1,000. We need to get you to 1,000. I don't think you broke it yet. What's up with that?
No, not yet. I think 907. Let me check.
Yeah, that's not good. We got to get you to 1,000 minimum. 908.
908. So
Yeah.
I got a new one from this stream apparently.
All right, so
Thank you.
here's the big push. By the way, on Saturday we're going to be doing something on the Great Debate community. I think we're doing like a potpourri thing. Potpourri. What is it? Yeah, potpourri is what you smell. A potluck kind of thing. Bring your own topic, whatever it is. And
gotcha.
Yeah, potpourri. But I'm going to be probably on that particular topic, and they wanted me to promote my channel. Usually they pick a channel to promote. I don't need to promote my own channel on the Great Debate community, so I was thinking promote Sarah's channel, but I don't think she's going to make that particular one on Saturday. But we're still going to try to promote it anyways. We got to get her to 1,000. So it is, today is what, Wednesday? And so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we have about 4 days. I think we could definitely do it. There's 200 people watching. I know a lot of you have not subscribed to her. The link to subscribe to her video channel is in the video description, and also somebody can put it in the live chat right now. So,
I'm putting it in right now.
So you have 907. We're going to check back on Saturday. The goal is to get you 1,000 to 1,000 by Saturday. That's 4 days to get less than 100. 93 subs.
Right.
I think that's totally doable. I hope people will tweet this particular video out. Hope they tweet your channel out. I want to thank both of you for having this discussion. Again, this is how I think that these types of discussions should be had on a kind of controversial subject. I don't think that I think other people would have came in and probably just gone to shit on this particular topic, and that's not what I'm looking for. So, but yeah, Jen, we'll get Jen in to weigh in on this later on because she knows we're wrapping this up. But she says, could you like the 2 news items from tonight, please?
Oh, link. They want to link the news.
Oh yeah, I can give you the link. Okay, there's actually 3 that I use.
There's 3.
So there was the Spectator. I'll link them right now. There was just a blog post that I had, which is that one, and then there's Ricky.
Before we go, we should all say what our preferences is for waxed balls or not.
I don't wax anything, man. I'm not. Brittany Simon tells me about waxing.
It doesn't have to be your balls.
No.
You could prefer other people's balls to be waxed if you're interacting with those balls.
By the way, I have no preference for other people's testicles. But I gotta tell you, when Brittany talks about waxing, she's meaning something completely different, and I'm just not into that either.
Wax off.
No, like hot candle wax dripping stuff. I guess it's one of her proclivities. I not judging. I just don't get it. Whatever. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Sarah, get to 1,000. We could do it. 4 days. Come on, people.
Let's do it. 920 already.
Do I gotta put your video link in the video description? Let me do that real quick before I forget. So click here. Come on, we have 200 people watching. We at least get you halfway there by the end of the night. With that, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow or the next day, and good night. Yay! Get a better internet connection, Sarah. Move from Australia. Move to the United States.